Let's make some noise. Come on.
All right, indeedy, Nick Foles. Let's make some noise, everybody. Welcome back to the final word. Word le final. Here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, your boy MattyB on the call back here. What is this, Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday, right? Tuesday, May 5th. We're inching ever so close to getting this show back on the air 5 days a week. I don't know if we're going to get there. I don't know if we're going to get there for a while until maybe after the baseball season, but we're inching our way. We got two on the schedule this week, today and tomorrow. And we'll see what we can do going forward into next week to throwing that number up to 3. Again, the scheduling has been a bear. It's been tough with all the post-game obligations that we're doing, that I'm doing, that we all are doing. So I got to get in where I can get in, and I'm here tonight. And yes, as the show title indicates, I got spring fever, man. I got it. I got it bad because our baseball team has somehow figured it out. 4 in a row. Was it 4 in a row, right? 3 in a row. 3 in a row. Tonight, a 9-1 win. Better late than never offensive outburst tonight by the Fighting Phillies against the Athletics. I almost said Oakland. So, Athletics. I'm going to call them the Kansas City A's. I'm going to go back there. I'm going to go the interim spot between Philadelphia and Oakland. I'm going to go to Kansas City. Because when we start to attach a city name back to the A's, which will be in 2028, I think, is when their new stadium will open in Vegas. I'm going to be still calling them Oakland. I will. And as I was watching tonight, and I was thinking about this, back when the A's were getting ready to leave Oakland, why the hell did we not bring them back? Why couldn't we have brought the A's back to Philadelphia? Let's bring back the dual team city thing. I would have loved that. That would have been awesome. That would have been a huge moneymaker. We could have had an American League team and a National League team. We could bring that thing back. I think it would work. I think there's plenty of room in this town for the A's to come back. But whatever. I don't know why I was thinking about that, but I was. But tonight, the Phillies handled their business over the A's 9-1 in a late offensive outburst. Earlier in the game, though, I was starting to get a little concerned because we were sort of, again, swaggering back into those bad habits of runners in scoring position being left there. But they came through in a big way. Chris Sanchez continues to bedazzle and bewilder. And the starting rotation has obviously started to round back into form. And this team right now at 16-20 is exactly what this team was supposed to be back on day one of the 2026 season. A team that still is what they are offensively. And the firing of Rob Thompson has not changed this team offensively, not one bit. They are still the same way, which, again, I don't think that's World Series-like. But we knew that going in. But we always thought there was a fighting chance because of the pitching. But then the pitching fell off a cliff to start the season, and they were absolutely dreadful. But now the pitching has rounded back in or bounced back, whatever. They're coming back. Zach Wheeler's back. Taijuan Walker's no longer on the team. And they're starting to round back into form, and they're resembling a lot like the team that we thought we had to enter the season. And I know it's still early, and we're still digging out of the hole, but eventually I think they will dig themselves out. But then we're going to be left with the original questions. Is this a World Series team? We're going to go right back to that. We're going to be, oh, great, they got out of the hole that they put themselves in. But are they a World Series team? I don't think any of that's changed, regardless of what happened with Rob Thompson or the 9-19 start. I just think this team is still offensively what they are, and it's not good. I don't like the way they win. I don't like the way they approach the offense. Now, does Don Mattingly change that? Have we seen a few little differences in that offense with Don Mattingly over 8 games? We have. I've noticed, I think I've counted 4 sacrifice bunts and about 3 or 4 sack flies in that time, which is great. But they are still a live and die team by the home run. That's the one stat that did not dip through any of this situation was their ability to hit the home run. They're still mashing 39 homers as a team now for the season. And that's extremely reminiscent of what they have been. So, but hey, first things first, we're digging out the whole 9-1 with the win over the A's tonight. Chris Sanchez looked great. 16-20 now, 7-1 under Don Mattingly. And the Flyers, baby. That's right, the Flyers, man. Is hope still spring eternal for the orange and black coming home Thursday night? Game 3 Thursday, game 4 Saturday. Are they is this thing done? Do the Flyers get an opportunity to head back down south? And honestly, even if they do salvage one, now if they win both up here, obviously we have a series again, but if they split up here, I mean, is it even worth the trip back down south? I was on the post game last night, and I gave the Flyers a lot of credit. They fought their asses off against a team that's obviously built for a Stanley Cup run. But it just was so frustrating to see them just give everything they had and just not being able to crack the code of the Carolina Hurricanes. And in a 7-game series, it was going to be a struggle. This ain't the Penguins, and it was going to be a struggle against the Hurricanes. And the Flyers needed some things to go their way, and I thought coming out of the gate last night, 2-0, 5 minutes in, I'm like, uh-oh, we got a series. And then Carolina said, you know what? No, we're not going to play anymore. We're done messing around. Okay, you guys are serious. You're gonna bow up, throw your chest out at us. All right, we're coming back. And that's what I think we're kind of left at this point right now, is that the game was great by the Flyers. They did everything that you would expect them to do. You did more than what I expected them to do. Just not enough horses in the proverbial barn, I think, for the Flyers. So that conversation's back on the table. And the NHL draft lottery, man. Oh, yeah. For those of you that don't know, tonight they held the NHL draft lottery. And it's funny because I forgot totally it was on. Because obviously, for the first time in about 5 years, we didn't have a dog in that hunt or a dog in that chase. The Toronto Maple Leafs got the number 1 overall pick. So does Gavin McWilliams find his way to Toronto? So maybe we'll talk a little bit about the draft if you want. We are going to get back into the draft as we're getting danger close. I'm going to start previewing again. We're going to do the of the night segment. We are going to do the card of the night. Yes, we still do that on this show. I haven't done it in a while. Phone lines will be open as well. I'll take your comments as well. So a lot to do here on the program tonight, and I'm glad to be back. As I said, we're going to do 2 of these, one tonight, one tomorrow, and hopefully next week we can up the ante and maybe do 3. I'll see. But here's the Haps on the network as of tonight. There was no Gridiron Weekly, and there was no Pittsburgh Sports tonight. Both of them had some scheduling issues that were non-fixable, and we couldn't get those shows on for you tonight. So, but we did do the Phillies and A's post game. Big Al had you for the Fighting's final, and I'm here for the final word. So, batting 500, I'll take that. Tomorrow, the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, some Fighting's final, and I'll be back, as I said. And then everything else is coming up on the week for the show or for the network. So make sure you're staying tuned and checking us all out for everything that we have. All right, what we got? Let's get into some of this. Went to the Reading game. Check out Steve being the advanced scout here. Nori and Escobar can hit MLB pitching now. They won't do it well just yet, but capability is there. It may be time for AAA soon to learn the finer points. Both of Nori and Escobar are brand new to the AA side. I think Nori got the call, Escobar got the call late last year, and I think Nori is fresh, like brand new AA. Or did he get the call? They either both got the call very late last year, or they're fresh this year. I know the stuff about the hitting and the power and Nori sitting in AA. I got to listen to Mike Papernick go on and on about Dante Nori. Dante Nori is not MLB ready. And as Steve pretty much says it here, he's not. But he can hit it. But he's not MLB ready. Arun Escobar, unfortunately for the position he plays, I would be, I'd be hesitant to move him up because he's going to probably get traded at some point this summer. And you don't want to ruin that opportunity. You don't want to jinx yourself by moving somebody up and then having them fail, then trying to have to move them. I think that's just a hardcore reality about Escobar is he'll probably get moved. Nori, a different situation, and I'll give you that. But I don't think neither one of them, you said you can hit MLB pitching, but can they do it proficiently? Are they ready to take that next step? And I don't think either one of them are. I honestly don't. I don't understand why we're so. I get it though. I get the situation with the players not developing fast enough and dragging your feet on a couple of these guys. But we're talking about 2 AA guys. They're not even at AAA yet. We don't even know if they can do it at the next level, let alone this level. So I like to exercise caution with these players. Dante Nori is not Bryce Harper, right? I mean, he's not going to spend 12 games in the minor leagues and then have a great pro career. Dante Nori is going to have to scratch and claw for everything he can get. And you're going to have an opportunity and you have a responsibility to Dante Nori as an organization to put him in the best possible position he can to be successful. So I'm not going to jump the gun on him. And same thing with Escobar. I don't think Edwin Escobar is long for the Phillies world to begin with. And hell did Brian Racone learn to hit? He's much improved. He learned to hit last year, Steve. We talked a lot about Brian Racone. Was he a shortstop, right? Yeah, he's starting to hit. And he's also rounded out. If you look at him, he started to kind of fill himself out. He's no longer the tall, lanky guy anymore, or the lanky kid. He's getting a little stockier, getting a little bit of girth to him. That might be helping him out too. He's maturing. He went through puberty. I mean, what do you expect? No, I've always been high up on Racone and his non-related third cousin, Raconis Jr. 7-1 under Don. Yeah, absolutely, Star Wars, and a beautiful 7-1 it is. And 18 games, 8. There are some definite disparaging in the numbers through Don Mattingly's 8 and Rob Thompson's 18. The first number I want to throw out there is the RISP. So under the first 18 games 28 games. First 28 games under Rob Thompson, the Phillies were batting .214 with runners in scoring position. Through 8 games, Don Mattingly, Phillies are batting .301 with runners in scoring position. They had the 56 run differential, negative 56. They were being outscored by 56 runs by their opponents. A week after Don Mattingly takes over, that number's been reduced down to 34. So there's definite big time strides being taken by this team. Now, is the schedule part of that too? And Dave Dombrowski admitted that it was. The schedule, the upcoming schedule with the Marlins, the A's, and the Rockies had a lot to do with potential decision on changing of managers. Would have Rob Thompson piloted this team through, the next 8 games at 7-1 against this competition? Perhaps he would have. But, the bottom line was Rob Thompson just was not being heard anymore. And it just didn't work anymore, man. God, it's so annoying when I think about it. Sorry for running an overtime. I bow my lord. That's okay, my son. I'll let it slide this time. The city can't handle 2 teams in one sport. I disagree with you 100%. I think they can. Matter of fact, not only can we handle it, I think we were one of the first ones to do it. The A's are an original franchise of Major League Baseball, or back then called the National League. And then the Phillies showed up about 12 years after that, and we lived in perfect harmony till the mid-30s. Or later than that, I think, wasn't it? Was it into the 50s? I disagree. I think we could handle 2 teams in the same sport, and I would welcome it in a heartbeat. Give people an option. And it's not like you're jumping ship. The A's are from here. The A's are an older franchise than the Phillies are. The A's are the original Philadelphia baseball team. I would welcome the A's back in a heartbeat. 100% would welcome the Athletics back to Philadelphia. I don't know why we didn't put a play in to get them. I really don't. I would love to be part of that two-team city situation. Chicago, New York. You know, I want to enter that realm. I want to be back into that. I think that was what some of the charm about baseball back in the day. You had multiple teams playing in the same city. I love that. I love it, man. And talk about a rivalry. That'd be great. There's nothing wrong with that. There's everything good about that situation. Most starts with 6+ innings, no earned runs, and 5+ strikeouts for the Phillies. 45. Steve Carlton 36. Nola. What? Are you giving somebody's resume? What do you? Star Wars, man. What is there a continuation to this message somewhere? What are you on about? Are you presenting me a resume? What is this? I'm confused. We already tear ourselves apart as it is. Oh, so okay. Because you fear dissension amongst the ranks and infighting that we just don't. What are you going to punish everybody by just now? We ain't going to do it. I mean, come on, man. We're all grown people here. God forbid if Oliver took over the country, man. I don't like it because it's going to make us mad, so we're not doing it. The hell God made you God? Bring it on, man. Bring on a taste of the La Différence. Man, I would love it. And all the cool merch. First and foremost, the green and yellow, gone. I would get rid of that color scheme. It's gone. I'm going to keep the A thing. That's the original symbol. I'm going to keep that. But I'm getting rid of the damn green and yellow. That's never worked for me. It's never worked for me as a color scheme. And unfortunately, I don't remember if anybody can now help me out there. Was that what they were when they, as far as I'm concerned, they were black and white when they played in Philadelphia, because that's all I've ever seen. But have they always been green and yellow? Or did that color come along during, down the road? But that's a hideous ass color scheme. I would get rid of that. I would get rid of that. But I would definitely do it, man. In a heartbeat. Hello. What's up, Elephant? How are you tonight, my friend? They need to get a right-handed bat still. Yes, they do, Al. And I know that's a problem. Felix Reyes is not the answer. Felix Reyes was a desperation move. They shoved Felix Reyes into the hole in the dam and prayed to God he could stop the flow of the water. That's not going to happen. I know it's not a long-term fix. Garcia, I don't know what he is. I don't think Garcia is going to be the answer here either. I'm not saying Garcia is not an answer, but he's not the right-handed power bat answer. But there is a guy floating around out there. There's a guy out there that I never thought I'd say this. Well, there was Pete Alonso, but that ship has sailed. But what about the latest and greatest? And I heard this starting to rumble around the MLB inner circles about a week ago, actually. I heard this. Mike Trout having himself a resurgence of a season out there in Anaheim. 30 runs, 31 hits, 10 homers, 21 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and he's batting .250. Now, I've never once jumped. I was never in on this Mike Trout thing. I was in on it when he was a pending free agent. When he was about to hit free agency or allegedly going to hit free agency, I was like, you know what? If he gets there, make a play for him. He never got to free agency. The Angels locked him down. And then the injury started, over and every season. It seemed like for about 5 years, he was missing major amounts of time because of injury. But obviously that's been the problem, is keeping him healthy. But now he's healthy. Mike Trout would be that power bat, that right-handed option. Now, it's going to take a lot to get him. But how serious is Dave Dombrowski? I don't want another. I don't want a Felix Reyes or a Garcia. I don't want a journeyman guy. I want a long-term answer in the middle of that lineup. Right-handed. And I'm not saying that I'm all in for Mike Trout, but it's an intriguing name that has resurfaced. And I have an affinity for Mike Trout purely from a financial standpoint because I am in possession of a large amount of Mike Trout baseball cards. And 5, 6, 7 years ago, those things were the hottest things going. They fell off a cliff over the last 5, 6, 7 years because of the injury problems. But now he's starting to kind of catch a little steam. And his cards are starting to once again return into the valuable side of things. So it's a name to keep your eyes on. Mike Trout back to Philadelphia. A few glimpses of changes need me more of that. Well, I mean, the glimpses of changes that I have seen, and again, 8 games is 8 games. I like the fact that we put down a sacrifice bunt more than once in a game. They were trying to do it tonight, but Justin Crawford didn't really do it well. But I like that. I like bunts, right? I like, once again, I mean, something that wasn't happening early in the season when they were getting on base was there was never any motion on base. They've stolen 6 bases in 8 games under Don Mattingly. Now they're getting on base a little bit more, but they're moving, they're being aggressive. And I like the accountability. And I like the in-game accountability. I'm not a big fan of dressing down a player 2 hours after something happens, waiting to go inside into the clubhouse and under, lock and key. And we're going to talk about what went down the other night when Felix Reyes lost count of the outs, which is a cardinal sin in baseball. He was not dressed down, but it was handled as he came right back in that dugout with Don Mattingly in a very low-key way, but it was handled. Now, granted, some of the stuff early in the season, like the Brandon Marsh base running problems and all that, there would have been probably a felony committed inside that dugout. But the point is, I like the nuances, the little subtle, as Al was saying, a few glimpses of changes. Al, the problem with this team is you, me, and everybody else out there is expecting, water to turn into wine here. It's not. I just need water to be turned back into water. That's what I need. That's what I'm looking for. There is nothing new coming from the Phillies. They are what they are offensively. But getting them back to that point is what I'm working for right now. And I never thought I'd hear myself say that I need them to return to the way they used to be. That's how bad it got. And then the other thing, obviously, is in the pitching. That has been the biggest change. And I don't know if this is a Don Mattingly change or if this is a change that just kind of rounded in the form at the time it did. But you're getting really good efforts from your starters right now. And that was not there in April. It wasn't. For whatever reason, it just wasn't there. And they're getting 6, 7 innings from these starters every night. These guys are keeping them in games, and they're giving this offense an opportunity to fight their way back in games or win games. And that's what was lacking early in the season. The Phillies haven't changed at all. They really hadn't. The offense is still what it is. But the pitching went off a cliff, and that has been the one thing that's carried this team. What's going on, Joe Hale? Phone lines will be open, Joe. If you're getting around to ask me that question, I'll open them up here in a minute. I promise. Promise. Continue on down here. Thoughts on the final goal as an official? Oh, you talking about last night in the overtime? Yeah, so it's tough, and I know all the controversy swirling around that. Yeah, you got a situation there where everybody sort of came together at the same time inside that goal crease. It's hard. It's easier to sit back now and look at replay and say, you know what, there might have been some contact, but in game during that time, and I'm not going to use the human element here, but I will. To me, when I saw it first, I didn't see any interference when I saw it live. When I watched it for the first time last night while it was happening, it seemed like three people came together at the same time. And by rule, a player can enter inside the blue area once the puck does. So by rule, that's okay. And interference is a deliberate attempt to interfere with the goalie. I didn't see any of that. I saw three people coming together at the same time with the puck in the proper spot. So everybody was in the proper spot because the puck was preceding them. And it just happened to be the way it was. I've been part of goals like that. And, you're trying to unravel bodies in real time and you're trying to make the right call. And I get it. Nobody wants to see an overtime game end like that. But by rule, honestly, and I'll go back to this, and I've seen the replay since a few times. It's a little shadier, a little cloudier when you look at the replay. But in real time, it looked good to me. And don't forget, in the NHL, every overtime goal is reviewable by the NHL. So they looked at it in Toronto prior to everybody leaving the ice. So there was no immediate decision made by the league after the goal was scored. So I get what you're saying, because now we have hindsight and retrospect and stop motion, and let's go back and look at the tape again and again and again, and it looks a little bit different. But again, I didn't see any of that in real time. So that's my thoughts on it right there. We know small ball and long ball work. Small ball and long ball work? Well, yeah, they do. But are you asking like a blend between the two? Absolutely, 100%. They both work equally well. No, I'm not going to say that. One works a lot better on its own than the other, but together they're magical. Absolutely magical. But through all this time, the Phillies have still hit 39 home runs as a team. Through all this, they're still one of the highest home run hitting teams in Major League Baseball. Again, this offense is not going to change because of Don Mattingly. He's just going to get them back to where they were, which is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. MattyB, the phone line's open tonight. One Hondo. Yes, they are. Toronto's 2027 first-round pick will more likely go to Philadelphia unprotected. Yes, and by the news of tonight about the Maple Leafs getting the first overall pick in this summer's upcoming draft, it really puts into play what I think should be the Flyers' main priority this offseason. And that is to trade that pick that they have. Now that it could be a top 5, top 2, top 3 unprotected pick, because Toronto's headed into the rebuild mode. All right, Toronto's done. Austin Matthews is now not coming out and saying straight up he wants to come back. He's pondering what he wants to do. The time is now for anybody who wants to find themselves a top-line center, a franchise face, one of them guys. Oh, I don't know who could want one of those. The time is now to contact the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I don't know, say you have a potential high draft pick for 2027 that, I don't know, used to belong to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, maybe you contact them and say, hey, what can we do to get a deal done to send Austin Matthews to, I don't know, say Philadelphia? I'm just spitballing here. And as we get deeper into this offseason, MattyB will show you two franchise-altering mock trades. The John LeClair trade, if you will, that Danny B must do this summer in order to propel the Flyers to the next level, which is not skating with the Carolina Panthers. Why do I keep calling them? It's because of the football. That's why I keep calling them that. Panthers rolls off the tongue easier than Hurricanes does. Not skating with the Carolina Hurricanes, but beating the Carolina Hurricanes. And if they make one, they can't make both these trades because the same players are involved in two different trades. But if they make one of these two trades that I am going to propose, and maybe I'll show you one tonight. Maybe I'll wet your whistles with one tonight. I don't know. We'll see. But if they make one of these franchise-altering moves, it puts them one step closer into beating the Hurricanes. 34. Yes, I just said that. Dante Nori. What? Dante Norbit? The A's left, folded in the early 1900s. No, man, they hung around for longer than that. They were in Philly in the 30s. Yeah. They didn't leave they didn't fold. Let me see. Let's see, Elephant. I think you're wrong, man. Now you got me questioning because I remember them being around in the 50s. When did the Philadelphia A's leave town? All right. AI and Google is telling me they left the city of Philadelphia in 1954. There you go. Don't tell me they folded in the early 20th century. No. Matter of fact, they were a very profitable and winning franchise. They got more World Series titles as the Philadelphia A's than the Philadelphia Phillies do. They left Philadelphia in 1954. And no, I wasn't there. I didn't see them off to Kansas City. But I knew they folded in the early 1900s. Come on, man. They then stole Nap, Lejeune, and Elmer Flick. Oh, I remember that. Plus, can we do 2 baseball post games? She says, yeah. The Fightins. I don't know what we would call it. I have to work on a name. And logistically, it would throw things off because they couldn't stay in the AL West. So you'd have to move them into the AL East, right? They'd have to come to the AL East. Somebody's going to have to go out of the AL East and end up in the somewhere along the line. Someone's going to have to go. I don't know how they would do that logistically and move the A's out of here because of the logistics involved. That they could not feasibly, or maybe they could. I don't know. Could you feasibly leave the A's in the AL West as the Philadelphia A's? Wouldn't that be something? Why not, man? Right? I mean, maybe for a year or two, see if it works. I don't know. But they'd have to move somebody out of the AL East eventually. Or move the A's to the AL East, move the Braves to the I don't know, I'd have to work this out. Sanchez, 8 runs. The original colors were royal blue, white, and red. Okay, so I guess I didn't think it was green and yellow. Yeah. Did that come along in Oakland, the green and yellow, or did it come along in Kansas City? Trout. Yep, that's the name I was thinking of. Don't say it. Right-hand third baseman, Bohm gone, and unknown future of Miller. Right-handed third baseman. I don't even know anybody out there that fits that bill. I haven't really looked into that. And I know the Phillies haven't either because they're waiting for Alec Bohm to kind of pull himself out of the season-long slump he's in. But I don't need a right-handed third baseman. I don't. We got Garrett Stubbs. He can play third. No, I just need I don't care if the right-handed power bat's in the air. I don't really care what position the right-handed power bat plays. I really don't. Our outfield is still unsettled right now. It is. Alec Bohm, I feel you. I don't know how much longer I can keep up with Alec Bohm. He did get on base twice tonight, though, to his credit. But he's still batting around 160. And the Aiden Miller thing, and I know all you Aiden Miller truthers out there, you know, I don't think Aiden Miller, even if he didn't get hurt, I don't think Aiden Miller was going to play much of any role with the Phillies in 2026. I never thought that. Again, we're putting the cart before the proverbial horse. The guy just went to AAA at the end of last season. And people had him earmarked for Philadelphia coming out of spring training. I don't think that was ever going to happen. That was never going to happen. But obviously the situation with the injury really, really sucks. I ain't gonna lie. They are. I'm going to try to get to him here soon, Papernick. I promise. I unsubscribe. The A's, as we know, it came to us. This is 1901. The original A's were for me. Oh, come on. Come on, man. What the hell? What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me, man? You know what I meant. The Philadelphia A's, left field. I don't care how they came up and came down and went in and went out and all that crap. All right. They left Philadelphia in 1954. All right. They didn't fold. I get it. Maybe one version of them folded, but they didn't fold and die. All right. You're picking semantics with me there, Elephant. All right, let's get back on track here. I do want to start the show as I started every night, even though we're 37 minutes in. So I guess it's not really starting the show at this point. With our day in Philadelphia sports history. We do this every week. And before I do that, I want to remind everybody that here you go. This is the post-game schedules for the week. Here's the Fight's final Tuesday against the Philadelphia A's. Tomorrow will be Mike Lauro, and I will have you on Thursday. And here's our Clear the Ice. I'm off Clear the Ice duty. Maybe for the rest of the season, I don't know. We'll see if Mike Lauro can bring some better luck than I did and maybe get them through to Game 5. At least get me back on the air for one show. But Mike will have you for Game 3 and 4 through the back end of the week into the weekend, as the Flyers will bring it home, hopefully to get the thing knotted up. Get it knotted up. But let's get into our day in Philadelphia sports history. Today, May 5th, May the 5th be with you. Cinco de Mayo Day for those of you out there that celebrate that. But back on this day in 2000, this day had a different meaning. And it's hockey related. And I think you might know where I'm headed with this. The game started on actual May 4th, 2000. This event began on May 4th, 2000, but it ended at 2:35 in the morning on May 5th. The 6-hour, 56-minute hockey game set an NHL record for real-time elapsed as both the Philadelphia Flyers and Pittsburgh Penguins labored through 4.5 overtimes of scoreless hockey, locked up at 1-1. Rookie goaltender Brian Boucher stopped 57 of 58 shots when it was all over, but one player of the game was a laboring Keith Primo who scored the game winner. Primo whipped a wrist shot past the understandably weary goalie Ron Tugnut to tie the series and set off one of the most dramatic and effective momentum shifts in Philadelphia sports history. The Flyers would send the Penguins packing with relative ease in the next 2 games, winning the series in 6 games. At its conclusion, Tugnut summed up the marathon. People were starting to ask what period it was. And then there's the stories that they ran out of food in between the overtimes, because in playoff hockey, in overtime, they stop and they have an ice cut. So there's a 20-minute intermission in between each overtime period. But I truly remember where I was, both when the game started and when the game ended. I was not so young. I'm youngish. I was in my late 20s, right? 26. It's like 26, 27. I was stationed down in Fort Polk, Louisiana. I was watching this game from my barracks room with my roommate who was from Long Island. Oh, Staten Island. Something Island. I think it was Staten Island. And I started watching the game. It was on, I think it was like a Tuesday night. It was like a Wednesday. It was during the week. And I ended up falling asleep. Woke up and the game was still on. It's like, whoa. So I was actually able to see the end of that game. And I watched that goal live. So definitely an epic game, an epic moment in Flyers history, an epic thing to definitely say you were there when you would, where you were when this happened. But yeah, just real fun. Hockey to its core, man. And that's what playoff hockey was about. And there was a bit of me last night as we kind of droned on through that first overtime. I was like, oh man, are we headed for another one? Are we headed for a second overtime? But yeah, on this night back in May 4th or May 5th, I gotta be straight about it. The event concluded on this day, but it began on May 4th. The Keith Primo 6 overtime goal to beat the Penguins in one of the longest, if not the longest, hockey game in NHL history. And that's your day in Philadelphia sports history. Brought to you by the great folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network, creators of such programming as this one, The Bird's Blast with Kyle Quinn. Normally shown on Thursdays at 7 during the football season. Me and Kyle are in frustrating talks, I ain't going to lie to you, about getting him back here in the next couple weeks in order to do our unofficial start to season 7 of the Birds Blast. It's looking more and more like we're going to probably schedule it to coincide with the schedule release, which is coming up here soon. But Kyle will be back at sometime in the month of May, as we will break down what happened in free agency, the draft, get you caught up in all that, and at this rate, talk about the schedule as the 2026 season gets closer. And Kyle is confirmed as he will return for another season 7 of the Birds Blast, starting this fall. So make sure you're checking out and keeping an eye on your calendars, because it's frustrating talking with this guy. It's frustrating, but I love Kyle to death, man. Love him. I love him. I love him. But let's continue on. LOL, Philly is Philly's territory. But is it though? Is it though? You would not be into another team returning. And it's not just a random team. It's the team that started out here. You know, I would be all in on it, man. 100%. Now, they would need their own facility, their own stadium. I wouldn't want them to share the bank. But that would be fun. And that's the way baseball was played. Again, I wasn't there for all that. I just heard. But all the stuff that I've ever watched, and I fell in love with the sport of baseball during, like, reliving those nostalgic times for me. You know, 3 teams in one city, 2 teams in one city. Just there's something about it, man. And that's why I think, and I would love to know what that's like. Like, what is it like in Chicago? You know, one half of the city's for the Cubs, the other half is for the White Sox. They're all in for the Bears, and they're all in for the Blackhawks. I would love to know how that dynamic would work here. I would love to see how that would work here. It would be fun. Good evening, Ellis. How you doing today? I remember that, and I remember that game too. It was epic to say the least. Phillies in second place, at least for the next couple of hours. Yes, the Phillies have pulled themselves out. Did they ever? They did statistically end up in last place. They were in last place at one point when the Mets were free falling, but they have pulled themselves up at least into a second place sort of tie right now in the NL East. Still, what, 9.5 games, 10 games back of the Braves as they're starting to kind of have their way with the NL East. All right, let's get the phone lines going. I do this every night, so I am going to open up the phone lines. Your link is going to pop into your little room here. You can come on, and this works similar to how you would actually use a telephone. You just click that link. That link will then put you backstage here with me, and I will put you on with me. You can have audio, or I need audio. I need to be able to hear, and you need to be able to talk. But if you don't want video, you don't have to have video. You can just do audio. Or if you want both, you do both. Whatever you want, but I just have to have a way to communicate with you. So we'll have some fun with that. Honestly, would have put what? Honestly, why would have been pretty awesome to be able to see a game at the Baker Bowl and walk over. Oh, again, you're absolutely correct. Just I mean, we call ourselves a sports town, right? And we are. I mean, we live and die it. So why not bring the A's home? I mean, it's too late now, and I'm not going to advocate for it, but I'm just saying, when they were getting ready to leave Oakland and go to Vegas, or here's something for you. Again, this is after the fact. While they're waiting for their stadium to be built in Vegas, bring them back to Philadelphia and let them play at the Bank for 3 years. Again, I don't know, just would have been pretty cool. And a lot more money, too. It would have been pretty fun. But, I hear you, man. I hear you. I long for those simpler days, man. I do. All right, let's go to phone lines. Joe Hale's first in the shoot. Joe, how are you tonight? What's going on? What is going on?
I'm good. How are you?
Hanging in there, Joe. Hanging in there.
All right. I want to start by the NHL draft. I think it's rigged for Trotter getting the number one pick tonight
Why?
because all those ping pong balls. How come they had 3 ping pong balls and everybody else had 2 and 1?
I don't know. I got to look. As I said, I had absolutely zero interest in the draft this year because it didn't involve the Flyers. But I said the same thing last year when the Islanders got the first pick and the Flyers moved up one spot from 15 to 14. How is that possible? The Islanders were a team that was a fringe playoff team and the Flyers were what they were. I don't know how that works. I honestly don't. I think it's something to do with the winning percentage or something. I don't know. I don't know. It is what it is. Who cares?
Or losing. I think. I think the Flyers going to trade up to a top 10 pick.
You think the Flyers are going to do what?
The top 10. A trade up into the top 10. Vancouver. Rick Tocchet might have something. How about that? It would be amazing, wouldn't it?
What would you be prepared to offer? What would you give up to move up into the top 10? What would you do?
Lutsenko. Goodbye.
It's not going to happen.
Lutsenko and Minskov.
No, that's not going to work. No one's going to take that to go up in the top. No one's going to give up a top 10 pick for them to. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. What else?
And the Flyers pick this year.
So the Flyers pick at like 25, 23, whatever that's going to be.
I heard it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
I heard it could be 20.
Hey, it's gonna be something in that range.
It could be number 20.
Yeah, that's low though. That's not a day one guy. That's not a day one guy. It's a guy that you're gonna have to develop. And even if you go into the top 10, this draft is not that deep. You got to go up to the top 3 to get a guy that's going to help you on day one. And I don't know if that's what you're looking for. Okay. Joe, I am looking for somebody that's going to come in and that has the rep sheet, that has that has that already, that can step in, so I can go up against the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs.
Are you talking about? I'm not going to say Austin Matthews. I think they're going to weigh too much. Are you talking about an Edmonton Oiler?
No, they're not going to be able. There's no way Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl will ever leave Edmonton. There's no way. They learned their lesson the hard way with Gretzky. They're not going to let that happen. They're not going to let it happen. I know they're upset with him right now, and I know there's a problem up there, but they learned their lesson with Gretzky the hard way. They will never let Connor McDavid leave, ever. I'm telling you.
Agree. I got you.
Just the hard, cold reality of that.
I think the Flyers win Thursday, and here's why. I'm going to give you an X factor. Elwin fucking Tippett is back.
Yeah.
He's getting that rest is what he needed. He's going to be on fire.
I discussed that last night in the post game. In a game like that, would they have won if Tippett was in the lineup? Would they have won with a Tippett in the lineup? And that's a valid point. It's a valid point.
I say yeah.
Yeah, you might be right.
Sherman, Mr. Elite, is becoming elite. Number 3, Bryce Harper. Yes. Hey, Dombrowski, I hope you're watching. You're the one that wanted him elite. And I noticed under Mattingly, they like to do small ball.
Yeah. It's one of the changes. They're not afraid to lay a bunt down.
I'm going to go to number 16 in the outfield. I like him this year. The Grizzly Bastard, as people call him in Philly.
Are you talking about Brandon Marsh?
Yeah, that's what they call him in Philly now.
Do they really? I never heard anybody call him
He's producing.
He is producing. He's been the most consistent bat of the season.
97.5 calls him the Grizzly Bastard. And that's the midday shot at 2 o'clock. And if you know who does it, and it's kind of funny, it's Ricky Bowe. It's Ricky Metallica and the girl.
What's the girl's name? I don't listen to 97.5. I don't listen to WIP anymore either. Who's the girl?
I forget.
It's not Natalie Golf. Is she back or something?
No, Natalie's never gonna come back.
No,
Natalie, she's the. Who was it? Tyra wants to come back for the Philly segment, and they had a food thing, right? And a guy took over her spot in the outfield.
Oh, I saw that. It was something about hoagies, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So, and another thing, what's up with Stock getting hot?
Hot.
Is it the month?
I don't know. It's red hot. He's red hot. He's hitting for power, and he's hitting for all fields. He's red hot. And so this is an interesting situation because in the past, we've seen these players get hot in different seasons. And then what would happen? Rob Thompson would move them out of that spot in the lineup and move them up. And then all of a sudden, they wouldn't be hot anymore. This is another thing that I'm looking to see what Matty does. I don't think that doesn't necessarily deserve a promotion out of your roster spot or your lineup spot. I want to see if he leaves people where they are. And I think he might.
Now, is it his lineup? Because it reminds me of the Thompson lineup a little bit.
Well, the question was it ever Thompson's lineup? There was some rumors. If you talk to Peppernick, he'll tell you that it was Don Mattingly all along that created this lineup. I don't know, but in traditional baseball terms, it's always the manager's lineup, whoever that is. So that's the one thing they hold sacred, is that they are the creators of the lineup, and then they are responsible for that lineup. So I don't know, but he did say, Mattingly said that he's a big fan of letting players bat where they feel comfortable, which I don't like that because obviously it's fueling the fire of that situation we have with Schwarber. But Don Mattingly would know. He was a fringe Hall of Fame baseball player. So if he feels that is something that he appreciated when he was playing, and I mean, we'll see. But I still don't like it.
I love how he's taking ground balls with Bryce Harper.
Oh, Mattingly is a first baseman. Mattingly's a first baseman. I mean, you just can't let that go. He's been 65 years old and he's out there still doing infield. I appreciate that, man. I do. I love that.
Why do they have three catchers? Is Marchand not the guy?
Joe, are you really asking me why they have three? Joe, think about what you're asking. Think about who the player that you're asking about is. It's Garrett Stubbs. I don't know why Garrett Stubbs is still on this baseball team. That is the question that I want to know. Death, taxes, and Garrett Stubbs. I want to know the answer to all three of those. All right. Why is Garrett Stubbs still on this baseball team? And why? Obviously, he's going to be a utility guy. He's going to play all over the place. But what the hell is Garrett Stubbs still doing here? I need to know. The hell what happened to the dinosaurs? I don't care about that. I want to know why Garrett Stubbs is still a Philly. That's what I really want to know.
Okay. I'm going to a Phillies game in May, right? And They do the radio show with Dombrowski. You want me to ask them? Because they do it live and in person. You can ask.
Stick your head in that booth. You talking about that little booth they have up, WIP has up there on the concourse there?
Yes, you can actually raise your hand and they'll come out with a microphone to it.
Do it, Joe. Do it. I'm honestly, I want to know. I want to know why.
I will do that.
Please.
And I love. Why would you use Duran today? Is there because you just got like off the DL? Probably.
So the guy hasn't thrown in about. Yeah, well, I mean that not says he can't. I mean, he did what? He threw like 25 pitches. He probably can't pitch tomorrow, but I mean, yeah, I think it was just to get him some work. I do. I know there was, and I was like, why'd they bringing him out? But maybe they don't want to put him into a pressure situation right off the hop. Maybe they just want to give him some time, to kind of ease his way back in. It was almost like a BP session, honestly, today. So it could have something to do with that.
I love his sweeper tonight. I love that pitch that he for the sweeper.
Yeah, he got into some trouble, but again, that's to be expected. Yeah, he looked good.
it's the it's the A's. Eagles talk. I love what they did in the NFL draft. I know a lot of people. Okay.
It's not that innocent. There's something else involved. The elephant's taking the innocent route. I don't know. He's probably also being well, and there's something to that, but there's something more. There's something more nefarious about why Garrett Stubbs is still here, and I'm going to die on that hill.
Is it the party? Is he the party guy if they make the playoffs?
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, to bring him back in September like he did last year. I don't need him in May. All right, I don't. I really don't know why, man. I don't know why.
Could he be an extra, like a trade piece? Do you think?
Joe, we've already released him once, and he cleared waivers and came right back. Nobody wanted him when they could have gotten him for free.
Mike Trout. I don't think he's coming here.
It's a name to keep your eye on. I'm not saying that he is. But the Angels aren't going anywhere. I think they're in dead last right now, and they're falling fast. The Angels are going to come to the realization soon, or sooner than later, that whatever it is they're doing out there ain't working, and they're going to start selling off all their assets, to include Mike Trout. And he's going to be the centerpiece. And if he can stay healthy, and that's all it centers around being healthy, he's going to be a hot name at the trade deadline. He's going to be a hot name, regardless of it's coming here or going somewhere else, if he can stay healthy and continue the resurgence that he's on. Because that's been the only problem with him, is the injuries. They've been debilitating. I mean, he's missed large chunks of time over the last 5 years. If he can get beyond that, yeah, I'll kick the tires on Mike Trout if I can get a guarantee he's never going to get hurt again. I can't get that, but if he has a solid season, I would definitely be listening and talking to the Angels for Mike Trout.
Would you try to go get O'Hoppe back?
No, I'm not. I listen. If I could get, if you could throw him in there, I'll tell you what. Trout and O'Hoppe for. I'll do it straight up right now. Trout and O'Hoppe right now. Boom, boom, boom. This will be my trade right up. Trout and O'Hoppe for Miller, Nori.
Boom.
Yeah, sure. I'll throw Bohm in there. Miller. Well, I don't have anybody to play third. I gotta work on that trade. I'll have it by the end of the show. But I do have a trade that I'll do right now for O'Hoppe and Trout. I'm not after O'Hoppe. I'm after Trout if that's the case. But I'll take O'Hoppe if they're dangling him.
I don't think they're gonna dangle him. I think he's a building piece for the Angels.
Again, I'm not saying that could be, but he's not really a centerpiece in what I'm looking for. It's obviously Mike Trout who's the name that I'd be looking for. If that's the case, if that's what it works out.
I would take a Brent Rooker from Oakland.
Where are you going to play him?
He can play outfield.
You're better off having Kyle Schwarber play the outfield. He's better defensively.
DH,
Rooker stinks defensively. Stinks.
Kyle Schwarber in the outfield.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that's an option. I'm just saying, Joe, I get where you're going with this, man. But Rooker's a DH, and I'm okay with that. But what the hell are you going to play Schwarber? All right, you cannot put Kyle Schwarber in the field. You can't put him in the field.
Can't you put Bryce Harper in the outfield?
Okay, you put Bryce Harper in the outfield. Who's playing first?
Schwarber.
Joe, Schwarber is a defensive liability no matter where you put him. That's the problem, Joe. Okay. And that's why I get pissed me off so much when they re-signed him.
I heard Brent Rooker could play first.
But he is a defensive liability too.
Playing first for Oakland.
Joe, I'm sure he has. And I'm sure he's played left field and right field. He doesn't do it well. That's the point. I could play first base better probably for the Phillies.
You know who I'd want, but I want Jack Wilson from Oakland, the shortstop.
Jacob Wilson, yes, very good player, very good player. he's going to come at
Untouchable.
he's going to come at almost impossible price because he's only a second year guy and he is the face of that. He's the future face of that franchise. Along with him, Lawrence Butler, Langerly, Christ, who else they got out there? Kurtz. I mean, there's those players are untouchable.
Eagles topic, and then I'll let you go.
Mm-hmm.
The schedule release. What do you think they open up with?
That's a good question.
And who?
Well, good question, Joe. Tell you what, I'm going to say they're opening up on the road. I'm going to say the road, Seattle. And I'm going to say no. No, Seattle's not. Seattle's going to play probably New England on week 1. That's probably what they're going to do. Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't given that much thought. The
Rams games overseas.
Let's take a look at their schedule real quick. I have their opponents right here. So they're home against, obviously, the 3 NFC East teams: Houston, Indy, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Rams, and Seattle. That's who their home games are. You know what? Pittsburgh. I wouldn't be surprised to see Pittsburgh.
In Chicago.
They're in Chicago, yeah.
Chicago.
Maybe it's in Chicago. Yeah, maybe it's in Chicago. Yeah.
Because the Seattle game is at home, and that's New England. The Rams game is overseas. The Rams are opening up overseas.
They're opening in Australia against, was it the 49ers?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's a road game, maybe Chicago. If it's a home game, maybe Pittsburgh.
Carolina? Okay.
I think Pittsburgh.
Carolina would be good.
Yeah, that'd be a good game, too. That'd be a good game, too. All right, Joe. Listen, tomorrow night we'll be back. All right, man? Thank you as always.
Yep.
All right. Joe Hale. Joe Hale wants to desperately make a trade for a right-handed power bat. Wants Brent Rooker. Weren't we like high on Rooker 2 years ago? The problem with Rooker is defensively. You can't. And the problem with the Phillies is we have a logjam at the DH, and that was one of the major issues about bringing Kyle Schwarber back in the first place. Was that okay? Now we're dead set on Kyle Schwarber as your DH, and there's nothing you can do. Either he plays DH, or you throw him in left field when they're playing against somebody that's 85 games out of first place. And in the situations the Phillies are in right now, they can't afford to give away a game. So I hear you. And the right-handed power bat situation is definitely Dave Dombrowski failed. All right, he failed miserably with that. And Garcia probably is not the option there, or the answer, I should say. He's an option, but he's not the answer. It is a question that's going to haunt this team all year. And as I mentioned, Trout's a big name, and that's maybe a little bit of a hard get. But if he can stay, and that's a big if, can stay healthy. I mean, a big if. And he hasn't proven that he can over the last 5 years. I would be all in, though, if I get a Mike Trout that's coming into town with about 35 to 40 home runs already hit, over 110 games played around that area, healthy. I would be definitely listening. I'm not saying I'd make the trade, but I want to hear what it would take to get him. Because the Angels are not far from just giving up on this whole damn thing. I mean, and that would be giving up on Mike Trout. And I do think that's coming this year. And they are jumping for joy out there that Mike Trout's healthy. Because he is going to be the centerpiece of a trade that's going to usher in the Angel rebuild officially. Even though they've been rebuilding for years and just are not courageous enough to admit it. But I would definitely be all aboard. So, but before we go to the next call, and I see Papernick, just hang on there for a second, man. I'll get you on. But I do want to tease out one of my John LeClair trades. So Joe was touching in on the Flyers potentially trying to move up into the top 10 this year and, going after somebody with that. And with the prospect of now having that 2027 first round draft pick previously owned by Toronto that we got in the Scott Lawton trade. That pick looks to be very, very, very interesting heading into 2027, because it could be, and it will possibly be, and more than likely will be a top 10 unprotected. And the way that the Maple Leafs seem to be trending, at least now, is that it's time to just burn it all down and start again. So I have created 2 trades for the Flyers in order to try to get themselves to a point now where they are not just skating with the Hurricanes, but competing with them and being a legitimate Stanley Cup contender, because this is the time. It's now, this summer. No more Hathaway and Paling and players like that. I need legitimate players. I need legitimate stars. I need scores. I need faces of franchises to come in here and kickstart this goddamn rebuild. And this is the summer that Danny B needs to make that trade, because if you're waiting for free agency to yield a player like that, you're going to be waiting a while, because there's no player that fits that mold in the free agent market this summer. And the Flyers have the money, and there are players the Flyers could bring here through free agency that would help sort of round the team out if you had that franchise guy there. So I went ahead, and I did this like a month ago. I think I did this. And I created 2 trades, and I'm going to reveal one of them right now. I'll save the other one for a later night. But I'm going to reveal one of these trades. Now, I refer to this as the John LeClair trade. For those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I'm referring to the January of 1995 trade that the Flyers pulled off with the Montreal Canadiens. Bobby Clarke was the GM. And the Flyers at that time, you know, you're coming into the 3rd year, I believe, of Eric Lindros. Things were starting to really, you know, look good. You know, the crazy 8 line with Fedoruk and Recchi and Lindros, that was, you know, they were starting to, you know, they're starting to spread their wings. We were coming back from the abyss of the first rebuild of my life with the Flyers. They came into a strike-short 1995 season. And they got off to a woeful 2-7-1 start. It was terrible. They got off to a bad start, and they only had 60 games of the season, or might have been less, 50 games, and they were in a hole right off the bat. So Bobby Clarke went ahead and he made the John LeClair trade, and this was the trade that sent Mark Recchi, who was at that time probably more prolific of a goal scorer than Lindros was, to the Montreal Canadiens for. I wouldn't say not unknown John LeClair. He was known. He's about a 20-25 goal scorer for the Canadiens, and a great U.S. Olympic / NDTP player, came up through the system, USA hockey-wise. Along with, of course, Eric Desjardins, who, in my opinion, you know, if you're talking about the all-time greatest defensemen in Flyers history, he's top 5, maybe top 3. And in that trade, of course, the Flyers sent Mark Recchi, and then another guy, I believe it was Marcel Dion or something like that, or the Flyers got Dion back, or I don't know. But that trade was looked upon by a lot of Flyers fans at the time, to include me, like, what are you doing? You're jumping over the ledge here. You're throwing it all in the middle of the table. This is a very risky move. Of course, what it turned out to be was one of the greatest trades in Flyers history. John LeClair became a 50-goal scorer. Eric Desjardins became one of the greatest, if not the best, defenseman in Flyers history. And the Legion of Doom was born. And John LeClair and Eric Lindros had many profitable seasons playing next to each other. It is time for Danny B to do that. It's time for him to go out and execute a John LeClair trade. And the first option here, I'm going to present one of them to you now, is I have 2, and I'm going to give you 1. This would be me if I was going to do this. And let's bring it up here. I've already mentioned the team a couple times tonight. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's time to pick the carcass of the Maple Leafs, because their guy, number 34, Austin Matthews, wants out of Toronto. He doesn't want to come back. He sees what's coming. And Austin Matthews would fit the bill as a franchise-altering player, a number 1 centerman, a guy that knows how to win, a scorer. Someone's going to take this power play They finally lifted out of the mud. So here is my first John LeClair trade mock. I am going to send Travis Konechny, Ristolainen, and that first round pick that was currently or recently or previously owned by the Maple Leafs to Toronto in exchange for Austin Matthews, and Jake McCabe, the defenseman. What I'm getting back in return here is a centerman who I can actually say he is my top line guy. And he would look good. Doesn't he look good in orange and black? I am all in on winning right now. Now, McCabe also provides me a top 2 pairing defensively that I can put up there on the blue line that also he can score. So I am killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. I am fulfilling the need for a true number 1 centerman and a top tier defensive player. And I'm cutting bait with a fan favorite, much like Bobby Clark did with Mark Recchi in Travis Konechny. And a player that right now his value could not be higher in Ristolainen. And Ristolainen is coming into a contract year. So essentially, what Toronto is getting from me is Travis Konechny and 2 potential first-round draft picks. Because you're going to get that first-round pick that you used to have. And you could probably flip Risto. If he can stay healthy and continue on this trajectory, you could flip him next trade deadline for a top 1 or 2 round pick. So I am sending Toronto a scorer and 2 future draft assets in exchange for Austin Matthews and Josh McCabe. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's the trade that's going to ignite this city. To think that Austin Matthews would come here and be part of what we're building. And the Austin Matthews and Josh McCabe, Owen Tippett, you throw them 3 into the lineup in game 2, I think we're singing a different tune. It instantly puts us in the Stanley Cup run competition. So there you have it. There's my first John LeClair mock trade of the summer. The Philadelphia Flyers will trade Travis Konechny, Rasmus Ristolainen, and the first round pick in 2027, previously owned by the Maple Leafs, back to Toronto for Austin Matthews and Jake McCabe. You heard it here first. There's mock trade number 1. Now, mock trade number 2 is a lot more adventurous, and I'll get to that a little bit later on. So there you have it. There you have it. And I missed this while we were on. Stubbs is on the team because he might be the only person alive that can get a few at bats. I mean, so you're telling me that Stubbs is just happy to be there? It's not enough for me to keep me here. I wonder what our record is with Garrett Stubbs. Is it the Mattingly effect or the Stubbs effect? Good point. I don't think anybody's brought that up, Elephant. Has this turnaround been prompted by Garrett Stubbs? I know Garrett Stubbs provides you that late inning pitching option if you're losing 18-0. I know he can come in and do that. Is it Mattingly magic or simply reverting to normal? That, you know what, Star Wars? That's a great point. And I said this. I think the Phillies right now are rounding back into offensive form the way they were. Nothing different, nothing better, just the way they used to be. What's truly turned the corner is the pitching's back to normal. And like I've said this all along, it's the pitching that's carried this team over these last few years. The offense is what it is. So that's a very good point. How we stink. So random shot at Howie Roseman. DH spot is locked up for 5 years, which is totally not great. And I realize that perhaps bringing Kyle Schwarber back was all about the Benjamins there. I think so. And another questionable move by Dave Dombrowski, right? Totally agree with you there. All right, let's head back to the phones. He's waited patiently. Peppernick, what's going on?
Yo, what up, Matty?
Not
Okay,
much.
so I really don't know much about the Flyers in the sense of like, cause the players, but there could be a free agent, and I know his mom, and his name's Johnny Beecher.
I know
6'3", 220.
Yep.
If he's with Calgary, he's a restricted free agent, but they can give him a qualifying offer. That don't mean he has to accept it. If he don't, what his mom was telling me, he wants to come back to the East Coast. I mean, 6'3", 220. I mean, he's only 20. He's only 25 years old.
Mm-hmm. Very good player. No, I agree. But here's the problem with RFAs in hockey. I'm going to tell you, and this is why it never ever seems to work out. It's an RFA in hockey is completely at the whims of their team, and I'm going to tell you why. So you mentioned he's an RFA, and if he does hit that situation, and he becomes if they offer him a qualifying offer by July 1st, and he does not accept it, say he says thank you, but you know what, I'm gonna see. Another team has the opportunity to give him another offer, right? But then it goes right back to Calgary. Calgary can then match that offer, and that's the end of it. And he's coming back to Calgary. Or Calgary says, you know what? No, they want you more. Go buy. But here's the thing, and I think he was a former first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
2019 he was, yeah.
Right. So by the CBA, the team that plucks you away like that owes you like the next 5 years of your first-round picks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a steep penalty if that happens. And maybe it might be 3. It was 5 a couple of years ago. It might have reduced down. The only player that I would be willing to do something like that to is a Connor McDavid when he was an RFA. I would have made that move in a heartbeat. Who cares about my next 5 years first-round picks? You can have them. Give me McDavid. But that's why it's such the RFA situation in hockey is so skewed towards the team that owns your rights. But it's a good point, though.
But that's crazy. They take away 3 to 5 years of your first round picks.
Yeah.
That's putting the team in the hole. In my eyes. That's just me.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's talk a little Phillies.
Let's do it.
All right, Kyle Schwarber, is this contract no trade like Turner and Harper? Does he have a no trade clause in there?
I don't know if he has a no trade. I'll look it up. Let me see. Does Kyle Schwarber have a no trade clause? Let me see.
Because he might have to be the guy that gets traded because like Harper, I mean, that's stupid to be traded when they can keep him, they could be 70 years old playing for the Phillies and getting $20-30 million a year.
Let me see. I'm reading it right now. Blah, 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 blah. The deal includes blah, 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 blah. Intentionally structured a deal to prevent. Nope. Yeah, there is a no trade.
Yeah, see, that's the worst thing. This man, they put these things in there. Idiots. He's an idiot. Why do they put that in there? I don't know.
So they have not announced it publicly. They have not said it's publicly. It's a no trade, but the ML. I'm going to read this to you verbatim. Other outlets did that. So when they reported the contract, nobody reported an explicit no trade clause, but multiple reports indicated that the Phillies intentionally structured the deal to prevent Schwarber from being traded, and they produced the evidence of why that is. So yeah, it sounds like it's a no trade.
It produced evidence. He's gonna be.
Yeah, that there is.
Look, this team. Look. Everybody, just think. The Phillies are in second place, 9 games out of first place. Okay, so let's not throw the. Everybody wants to run down Broad Street. Go do it because, I mean, it is what it is. And this pitching staff, it's pitching well the last few days. I mean, few games. We'll see. That's about. And look, this team. It isn't the Mattingly effect. It isn't the Stubbs effect. This team will just win games by accident without either one of them making any moves. So I mean, that's how they got talent, but I'll stand by what I said during the off season. everybody was, the Phillies are going to win because they think the Braves are going to be injured, and they're for the third year in a row they're going to lose all their stars and blah blah blah. Well, they did. They don't have two of their starting pitchers. I don't think Strider or the other guy's back yet. I know the other guy was
down.
Oh, there you go. And they're still in first place. So I mean, and I don't want Mike Trout, especially. Yeah. I don't want Mike Trout if we got to give up a bunch of Nuri and Miller.
Yeah, and it's going to cost that. It is. They're going to want a lot in return because they're going to want to rebuild through that trade. So it's going to cost you all your top level prospects. Gage would probably be gone. Those kind of players would be gone.
Go get Paul Skeene. I'll give up everybody for Paul Skeene. That's the only player I give up people for.
Paul Skeene, huh?
That's it. Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, Wheeler said he might come back here to 27. He's not sure. Paul Skeene, why wouldn't you trade Aiden Miller and Dante Nuri or Gilbert Racone Jr. or whatever, Gabriel, whatever for this guy? Because they all know the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Braves are all going to be in on it. Mike Trout.
Mike Trout intrigues me if he can stay healthy. That's the big if, Kaepernick, and I don't know if he can. Yeah, that's a big problem.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right.
Look, the Phillies got to do one thing right now. One thing. Upgrade the backup. Didn't they sign a backup catcher in the offseason? Christopher something?
Yeah, he's in AAA. He was signed for a camp guy to go right down. I know who you're talking about.
Look, he can't do no worse than Garrett Stubbs.
Listen, Kaepernick, I know we joke about it all the time on this show, man. Why in the hell? Now, not only I get it. JT went down. You had no choice. You had to bring him up. You needed a backup catcher. But then JT comes off the IL and you release the position player. Granted, no skin off my ass with Dylan Moore. He can go away. He was batting literally 0. I get that. But you then are going to tell us we're keeping 3 catchers?
Well,
when we have problems, instability in the outfield, we have an issue at third base with Bohm, but we're going to keep 3 catchers?
Well, because Garrett Stubbs became the super utility guy. He played the outfield. He played third base in spring training. So I tell people all the time, when you fire the manager and the other guy takes over that was on that team, he's always going to take a little bit of that manager with him. And that's the problem. That's why I wouldn't care if Cora walked in them doors. I wouldn't care if Dusty Baker walked through them doors or Bruce Bochy. They have no connection to that team at all. None. Dusty with just Harper. But you know what I'm saying. There's nothing. There's no, I got to kiss your ass, I got to kiss your ass, and I got to kiss your ass. Because there's only 3 asses that get kissed in that team, the top 3. And it must be in their contract that they're not allowed to move out of the top 3 spots. Because and Stubbs has got to have pictures on somebody. I don't know why, I mean, unless Bryce Harper's got it in his contract that the party boy needs to stay around.
Maybe that's part of Kyle Schwarber's new contract. Garrett Stubbs has got to be involved.
I think it's more Harper. I don't know about Schwarber, but maybe more Harper. I hear, is there rumblings out there that he wants an extension or more money? I've been hearing a little bit about.
I have not heard that in 2 years. Thank God. I personally haven't heard that. I'm not saying it's not being said, but I haven't heard it.
I'll put you like this. You want to give him more money, that's fine. If they add any years onto his contract, he's going to be 50 years old on this team. I like Bryce. He's hitting the ball well. I like him. Don't get me wrong. And I like Turner. My problem is the no trade and the length of the contract. Who gives out? What? These guys weren't Harper. Okay, Harper was what? Maybe late 20s when he got it. He got the contract from the Phillies. Turner was 30 when he got the contract from the Phillies, 11 years, something like that. These guys weren't Juan Soto at 25 years old getting a 13-year contract or a 15.
Yeah, I agree.
And with a clause there, that's a worthwhile contract because he's 25. In 10 years, he'll be 35. Okay. Thank you for your time. If he's not doing well, you can go on your way. We got our 10 years out of you. But we're going to be stuck with the – and then the time of Schwarber, as we always say, man, we're stuck with Harper at first base. We're stuck with Schwarber as DH, and we're stuck at Turner at shortstop unless Turner goes to second base or he goes to the outfield, you know. And I don't know why they're still running them guys out there. Bring up them kids that are hungry. I mean, look at the Flyers. I didn't even notice. The Flyers brought up some 19-year-old kid who scored a goal last night, right? Did he score a goal? Was it some 19-year-old kid that came up? My buddy was telling me. He played
last
that
night's
game.
goal scorers. No, it was Drysdale and Coots scored last night. But are you referring to Porter Martone?
Is that him? Is he 19?
Yeah, he was drafted by the Flyers last year, and he was their first round
Okay.
pick. And he's been scoring. He hasn't scored much lately, but he really came in like a lion. And
Now,
he was really
watch this.
Yeah.
Bravo to the Flyers, because you know why? They see the kid has talent. Why keep him down below? Oh, the Phillies don't do that. They bring up all their rookies when they're 90 years old. I mean, they'll be. I mean, you won't see Dante Noy for 3 more years. You won't see Gilbert Racones for 2 more years. You won't see Miller for 2 more years. Oh, the back injury, you know. So this is where I'm getting at. You got to bring these kids up. You have to. They're hungry. Let them play. What's the worst thing that can happen? They don't work out. You send them back down. They figure it out in their head, possibly what went wrong up there, what they have to work on, and that's Roy Halladay is the perfect example. Went down, came back, and won a bunch of Cy Young awards.
Yeah.
So
No,
I don't
right.
understand. You got these players. We got an old team. Don't they understand that? JT, Schwarber, Harper, Turner, they're all over 30 years old. They're all over 32 years old. 33. You see, I mean, I think the youngest is Turner. And he's like 32. That's what I'm getting at. They're not getting any younger. You got to bring these kids up. And I don't know. I'm not sold on Matty. Look, I won't say I'll hold off on Mattingly for a while because when he grows his set and tells Schwarber to bat fourth and puts Crawford at number 1, then I'll be happy. Till then, he's Robbie. He's got a little more brain. He's got a lot more brains than Robbie. Don't get me wrong, but he ain't got a set to stand up to them guys.
I don't know. Listen, I'm not yet. I'm not prepared to say that yet because what Mattingly has over them guys is Mattingly's already been down the road, and Mattingly is a Hall of Fame. I still think he'll get in at some point. Some veteran committee somewhere will rightfully induct him in.
Didn't Don play for Billy Martin?
Oh yeah, did he? Yeah. Yes,
so
he did.
That's my point. That's my point. He played. He should know. He played for Joe Torre, I think, too. He should know. You can't. You got a bopper who bats fourth. I understand what they're doing. If he bats second or first, you get a home run. You put more pressure on the team, on the other team. Blah 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 blah. Here's the reason why these guys ain't getting 140 RBIs a year, 130, because they're batting first and second power hitters.
Yes, I agree.
You will never see another power hitter get 140 RBIs. Never.
Well, sure, we got 132 last year batting in the 2-hole. So,
well, yeah, but he batted fourth sometimes last year too before they switched him.
A few times, yeah. Not as many as I would have liked, but there was maybe 25. It was like around 25, 30. It wasn't that much. I mean, he did bat in the 4-hole, but primarily it was out of the 2-hole. He drove in 132 runs. But I get your point. I am 100% on board with you. I don't think you should be batting second either.
And when Dombrowski made this team, he was looking at isn't left field a little shorter than the right field? I mean, right field a little shorter than left in the stadium. Yeah,
a little bit.
Okay.
They get that Monty's angle thing on the other side that kind of makes it look bigger. I don't know, but
that's probably what he was looking at the time. I mean, I understand what Joe's saying about Brent Rooker. You know, I mean, I don't want him now. I mean, he's kind of not had too good. You know, they got to figure it out on what they're going to do with this number 4 guy. I mean, there's going to be a name that pops up from a team that's out of it, and maybe the Phillies can go after. I don't know who, but I hope they don't go after that Stephen Kwan guy out there in Cleveland. Because they're not
going to go after a center fielder. No.
Well, if they went after him, right? Where's he bat? in this lineup. Fourth?
I mean, yeah, that's probably where he's a leadoff guy by trade, but yeah, they probably put him in the 4 hole.
I mean, now, I real quick about the Eagles. I want to just get this quick. What did you think of the draft? What would you grade it? And take away Howie, the feelings about Howie. Just
okay.
your
no,
take.
And I always do. I bash Howie a lot, but when it comes to drafts, I'm a pretty level-headed kind of guy, and this is how I look at drafts, Kaepernick, and I look at it from the realistic standpoint. As far as the player and what they're going to bring to the team, I can't sit here and give a grade to a guy that's never taken a snap in the NFL. So I can't give I don't give a draft grade until 3 years later. At the end of every season, I give that 3 years prior draft class a final grade. But as far as what he did position wise and what he went after in the draft by position, it's a clear signal to me that he's turned the offense over to Sean Mannion, that he's wanting to build an offense that Sean Mannion once built. And that's evident by the Lemon pick at 1 or in the first round. And obviously the A.J. Brown's not coming back. That answered all those questions for me. The offensive and going offensive heavy for the first, four picks. It was nothing but offense was good. They needed some help. They needed a backup tight. They needed a new tight end. They needed some more help along the offensive line. By position, I'm okay with what he did, but as far as like, I can't sit here and put a grade on it and tell you that it was an A or B because these guys have never played in the NFL.
Now, him giving the keys to Mannion, that's a no brainer. I mean, because I'd rather give the keys to my dog to run the team than Sirianni. So, but what I think. I don't know if A.J. Brown's going to be. I'm not saying he won't be traded, but if he's not traded this year, they can't unload him. That kid's going to be a problem in the slot. That kid Lemon for anybody to try to stick him. Now you got Devontae, Lemon, and him, and then you got my question. My only thing is this: I heard they want to try to run a true West Coast offense. I don't know if Jalen can do that because he's an RPO guy.
That's what it comes down to with me. And that's why I said about it was telling to me that by the way the draft went and by the way free agency went, it was obviously that Sean Mannion's got a huge influence over it. And then it all boils down. I don't care how many wide. Right now, the Eagle wide receiver room is like 10 deep. They're obviously not going to go into the season with 10 players. But the players that they brought in here are all slot kind of guys. They're all guys that are going to create havoc across the middle of the field. There's not too many vertical threats right now in that Eagles wide receiver room, with the exception of Devontae Smith and AJ. And in my opinion, the AJ Brown trade is already done. They're just waiting for June 1st to pull it off. That trade's done. You don't pick a wide receiver at that spot in the first round unless you're moving on from AJ Brown. That to me, that's a no-brainer. It's done. It's a done deal. I don't know where he's going, but he's going somewhere, and it's already done. Let me finish my point, though. You're right. It all boils down to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has not proven at all that he can run a timing offense. It's not proven at all that Jalen Hurts can throw the ball into a tight window. It's not proven at all that Jalen Hurts can get the ball out in under 3 seconds. It's not proven at all that Jalen Hurts can read defenses and go through his progressions in a timely manner. It all hinges on the quarterback right now. And it's a make or break season for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts truthers don't want to hear it. They want to call me a negadelphian. They want to call me a hater. That's fine. There's a reason why they didn't give him his contract extension this year. It's because they're giving him 1 year to try to figure out how to run this offense. If he cannot figure that out, they're going to move on from Jalen Hurts next year. That's 100% guaranteed.
Now, the thing why would Jalen need a contract extension? Didn't he sign is his contract through 227 or something, or 28? Yeah,
but they wanted to lock him in because they don't want him to get that. He's eligible for it. The point was he doesn't need one. He's eligible for one right now. And that they didn't give it to him. They gave it to Jalen Carter instead. They took that money and they gave it to Jalen Carter. They exercised his 5th year. His 5th year of his 5th year.
But they didn't sign him to his extension yet.
No, but they took that money that they could have taken for Jalen. It's optics. It wasn't needed. No, it wasn't needed. But it would have been a sign of good faith that you're going to try to lock Jalen Hurts down forever. And they didn't do that.
I think that speaks more volumes that they didn't sign Carter to an extension.
I think they're still a little bit out on Carter. I think they have concerns about his maturity.
Yeah,
I do.
Yes, that's where I was going to go. I like Jalen Carter. I think they're going to see if maybe Jordan Davis and them guys, the new guy that's coming in, Greenwood, maybe the team can kind of simmer him down a little bit. Yeah. The only thing I worry about is this: they're doing all this stuff. They want to run the West Coast offense. If they make the playoffs, Sirianni's not going to get fired, and Mannion's going to move to another team. Now you're back at square one. That's a guarantee. That is a guarantee. If this offense runs half decent and they get knocked out in the playoffs or win the Super Bowl or whatever, Sean Mannion will be a head coach somewhere else next year. He won't be in Philadelphia. That means we're back to square one with Sirianni. That's why I said, from what I understood, they took Mannion because of the Sean McVay thing. They missed out on Sean McVay. So just cut ties with the bum of the fool. Just cut it. Let Mannion run the team, and what else can go wrong? I mean,
I don't think it's that no-brainer that you think that Sirianni will survive even a playoff run next year. I don't think it is. I don't. I think I just don't. Listen, Sirianni's antics are well known across the NFL, and they're well known within inside that building. I honestly believe Sean Mannion is basically auditioning for the head coaching job of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think that because Howie never gives up control over personnel, and he gave up control of personnel on the offensive side to Sean Mannion. Not only that, they got rid of Jeff Stoutland. They remade the entire staff in order for him to bring his people here. So I think this is more of an audition for Sean Mannion to be the new head coach of the Eagles than anything else.
Or an audition for the whole NFL. I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah, I know, but I hear what you're saying. But we don't know what's being talked about behind closed doors, and who knows what deals they might have made or might not have made.
Okay. Here's the deal: what's a Super Bowl bust for? Okay, if there's no collapse, and they get a good run going into the playoffs, and they get knocked out in the second round.
Yes.
And the offense runs well. It wasn't a collapse. It just they ran into a better team. Is that guaranteed Sirianni gets fired? I don't know.
Yeah, it has to, because this is not a second round. This ain't the Sixers. This ain't a second round. That's not the ceiling for this team. This is allegedly a Super Bowl contending team, and Nick Sirianni is supposed to be delivering Super Bowls. Pure and simple, because I don't want to hear any more about, Sirianni's got him to 2 Super Bowls and blah, blah, blah. This is a Super Bowl or bust season. Every season is right now under this current with these players.
Yes. Now, so Mannion has all that. Do you think there's any possibility how we could pull off the trade of trades and somehow swindle Joe Burrows from the Bengals for Jalen Hurts and a bunch of picks? Seriously. I mean, because Joe Burrow's going to get killed out there. He's going to get killed. Yeah. They don't get an offensive line or a running game, they're going to get killed. They're going to put 50 points up. Don't get me wrong. But he's going to get killed out there. I'd love to see Joe Arch
Manning. How about Arch Manning?
No, I think the quarter. I think Mannion drafted that kid from North Dakota, wherever.
North Dakota State.
I think that's his quarterback.
That might be who he's, because that's the prototypical quarterback for the West Coast offense. A big kid who's got athletic ability that can see over the line of scrimmage, make quick progressions, or run very fast. Quick.
He's a lefty. Remember that?
Yeah, he's a lefty. Listen, that's what I think this draft was, and this free agency period is a telltale sign that they are trying to change things. Now, what that change is, and ultimately what that change will be, well, more to follow. But this is a make or break year for Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. I firmly believe that.
This is a make or break year for the Eagles, because the Giants are going to have Neighbors back. They're going to have Scatteroo back. They got John Harbaugh, who forgot more about football than the bumbling guy we got. And you know, you got Dallas, still Dallas. I mean, you got Washington. I mean, if they don't get a running back, that quarterback's going to get killed again. You know, he'll be out. The reason why he gets hurt is because they have no running game. They traded their running back away, and they ain't got nothing. So then they put it all on quarterback, and he's. Then they wonder why RG3 got killed. Well, that's what happens when this guy ain't built like Lamar Jackson, you know, where he can take a pounding.
It boils down to the quarterback for me. It boils down to what Hurts can do in this offense, and that's plain and simple. The defense is going to be fine. They're the same. They're not any better than they were last year. They still have the same problems, but they're good.
Who's the safety? Who's the starting safety outside of Kuba?
Epps.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'm telling you, I still got this strange feeling you're going to see him out there. Cooper DeJean and some packages safety, and you'll see a slot kid.
I'm not sold in on Wooten either for CB2. It's just another Band-Aid over there. Again, they're not any worse than they were last year, but they're not any better. But that's still good, though. That's still a pretty good unit, and they'll be fine. It's going to come down to the offense, pure and simple. How they
here's
operate.
Why I'd like to see. Well, the defense has to have to make some stops. I mean, I'm glad they got that guy Greenwood because now we'll see if Jalen Hunt, if they can't double team Jalen Carter or let or whatever, and they got Nolan Smith ain't doing nothing, and the guy Phillips they got did nothing, you know, and Jalen Hunt's on an island on his own. You don't have Josh Sweat on the other side taking the pressure off. They got a guy now who's a legit sack artist who averages 12 sacks a year.
That was before last year when he only got 3.
That was this year. This year he had 12.
I don't know. You might want to look at that. You got a bunch of pressures, but I don't think he came home much. He had an off year. He was a Pro Bowler in 24.
This is why I'd like to see Cooper DeJean safety. When Brian Dawkins plays safety, now they're totally two different people. But this is where I compare him to. Cooper can run, and he's like a third defensive back, like Brian Dawkins was out there playing safety, where he could defend and stick, you know, certain guys. You know what I'm saying? Because he has the speed, the athleticism. Now, you know, that's where I think Cooper, outside the slot, I think he can excel at safety. And he's a ball hog. He's always around the ball.
Yeah.
So
listen.
I mean,
I like, but I still like Cooper where he's at. But you may have no choice, as you said. Listen, Patrick, I got to cut it off, man. We're running a little late.
You have a good night. Okay, you have a good night. I'll try to get on tomorrow.
Absolutely, Patrick. I would not have a show without you. You got to be here. So we'll talk tomorrow. All right.
Bye.
All right, man. Listen, I hear you. And you know, I didn't really think we're going to talk Eagles tonight, but let's do it. I still like Cooper in the slot, in the nickel, whatever. I like him there. I think that's where he's going to be, and I get it. But the Eagles did not do much to help them in safety. They didn't do much, in my opinion, to help them at CB2. I don't think they got any worse, and Gennard will help out, maybe take some of the pressure off, and hopefully open up Jalen Hunt. Jalen Hunt's it's a hit. You know, he's a good player in the 3rd round where they got him a couple years ago. So he's a really good player. I'm on board with him, but I don't think the defense is going to be the issue. They'll get theirs, right? And we didn't come out of the last season thinking it was the defense. Now, the defense came up small in that 49er game. I'll give you that, but the offense came up smaller. So that's where really it just sort of kind of balanced itself out. It 100% boils down to how the offense is going to be under Sean Mannion, and more importantly, under Jalen Hurts, running Sean Mannion's scheme. And I was thinking about this today, actually. Is it the mark of a good coach that a player can run their scheme, or is it the mark of a good coach getting a player to run the player's scheme? I mean, what works out better? Sean Mannion's got these great ideas, the McVay thing, the McVay tree, the hybrid West Coast 2.0, whatever you're calling it these days. Does anybody out there really have confidence that Jalen Hurts can run that thing competently based on what we've seen from him over the last couple seasons? Now, granted, they've stocked him up with weapons in the wide receiver room, but we're still going to have the same offensive line that's 1 year older. They drafted some depth pieces. They have some depth pieces already there that hopefully can make it take a step. But we're going to ask Jalen Hurts to throw the ball in the tight windows across the middle of the field quickly and reading defenses fast. That's something he has never shown his ability to do. So with all the X's and O's and ups and downs and what we're going to talk about, it boils down to number one to me. And I have my reservations whether or not he can do that. Now, Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He is. He's a great athlete. He belongs in the National Football League. But does he belong in this offense? You know, for years and years and years, we've brought in offensive coordinators literally every season that have their own schemes, their own ways of doing things, and they've had to tailor them back down a little bit to fit the ability and the skill set of Jalen Hurts. You know, and has that worked out well? It hasn't. You know, I don't, even during the Super Bowl year, and yes, I will die on this hill all day long. You take out the contributions of Jalen Hurts to the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles. You completely eliminate them. You take Jalen Hurts off that football team. They still win the Super Bowl. Hands down. For what Saquon did that year and what the defense did that year puts what Jalen Hurts did that year very low on the list. But now you're in a situation, and we saw it last year. Saquon still rushed for over 1,000 yards, and I don't know how much of total yards that he was accountable for. But it wasn't the 2,500 yards he had in 2024. And you saw the significant change in the way the offense moved. And everyone's going to blame Kevin Patullo for that. And a dinged up offensive line. We're going to look at the unicorns. We're not going to look at the reality. I'm just saying, I think Eagles fans, I know, you know, I'm going to start the homer stuff, but there's a certain side of that fan base is going to look at this thing through the wrong lenses. And there might be some rude awakenings for some Eagle fans this year. I'll leave it at that. But always good to talk to Papernick. Listen, we're not going to do the of the night. Listen, I did the mock trade thing. So I kind of got that out of the way. We're not going to do all the night. We're not going to do the card. I promise I will lead off with those tomorrow night. Those are the first things we're going to do tomorrow. That's what I'll do. In order to get that out the way, I'm going to lead off with that. Let's hit up some of these comments before I say good night. Howie had a bad draft class. I disagree. I don't know what he had. You can't tell me that in year one. You can't tell me what kind of draft class Howie had before any of them have taken a snap on the field. You can't. There's no way. Now, you talk to me 3 years from now. You talk to me at the end of the 2028 season, and we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation about how he did in the draft in 2026. But you can't talk to me now about that, and I disagree because I can't say that he had a bad draft class. I said I understand the positions he drafted. Those were the positions of need, with the exception, of course, of cornerback and safety. But he addressed most of the offensive positions of need. So, yes, in that aspect, it was a good draft class. But in the aspect of actual talent and the players he picked, I don't know how you can say that. And I will always agree with that. My prediction, Smitty 1, Lemon, no, Lemon's going to go in the slot. Lemon will be 3. They're not going to put Lemon out in 2. They're going to put him in the slot. There's no way. I agree with what you're saying. I don't know. Hollywood Brown, he's your WR3. So you're putting Hollywood Brown in the slot? Is that what you're saying? You're saying Smitty and Lemon out wide and Hollywood Brown in the slot? No. Nope. Northwest kick punter Luke Akers, son of Hall of Fame. Yeah, I saw that he was in the Eagles minicamp. Yeah, but isn't Jeremiah Trotter Jr. wearing 54? I get you. Ain't that big of him. He ain't gonna make the team. Ricky says hi. Hey, Ricky. Joe, pass on my personal well wishes to Ricky. Is he still sick? Please pass on my well wishes to him. Might not cost as much as you think for Trout because he's on the underwater contract. Another problem with the Trout trade is the fact that the Angels never think they have to rebuild, even though they completely suck. I agree with that, but I think this year they're going to. I think the realizations this year. I do. Yeah. How can you not? I mean, how can you not think you need to rebuild when you have not been relevant for 5 years under the current conscript of your roster? Listen, I get what you're saying, and it definitely has seemed that way over the past few years that the Angels were just clueless, and they were holding out that it was because of the Trout injuries that were being held back. I get that, but I don't think even the Angels don't see that they need to rebuild now. And Mike Trout's going to be one of the names. And the other name, Tariq Skubal, and of course, he's dealing with all kinds of nonsense with his elbow. What does that do to the Tigers, man? I mean, Skubal on a contract year. Woo. It's going to be out 3 months, 2 to 3 months. Loose bodies in his elbow. That's terrible for them, man. But still, Skubal and Trout will be two of the hottest names you're going to hear at the trade deadline. Mark my words. Crawford was brought up this year. He was, but he also spent about 4 years in the minors. And Little G says the Phillies win the game. Yeah, they did. 9-1. All right. We went almost 2 hours tonight. We're gonna wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Again, I told you we'll start tomorrow off with the of the night segment and the card segment. We'll get those right out the way because I'm really bad. The time gets away from me and I can't get it back. So thanks everybody for joining me tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same station. And as I said, we're inching our way back to 5 days a week. We are. It's gotta some things have got to work out better for me right now. And the Flyers are, the post game stuff. Not just the Flyers, it's the Phillies too. But doing Flyers post games in May is uncharted territory for us here. So we're learning as everybody else is. So, but I'll be back tomorrow. Pass on some more positivity. You guys enjoy the rest of your night, and happy Tuesday, happy Wednesday, and we'll talk tomorrow night. Until then, take care, and we'll see you.